We talked to Greg Swenson, who's chair of Republicans Overseas UK. Good morning to you.
Hello, Julia.
Lovely to talk to you. I mean, again, another extraordinary story about Donald Trump. I mean, they keep on coming, don't they? This is just the second case when he's been in court. This one's civil, not a criminal case. Numerous more cases to come. A lot of people are getting in touch saying, look, what proof was there? This is, a few decades old. It's a civil case, not a criminal case. So the balance of evidence, the balance of probabilities rather than beyond any reasonable doubt. And they're saying that this is politically motivated, and holding this trial in New York, where, he really is not a popular figure, despite that being where he spent most of his life. Maybe that's why he's not a popular figure, though. I don't know. That actually was politically motivated, and it did lead to the result that happened. Was it a misjudgment to hold this case in New York?
It very well might have been, Julia. And you bring up some good points, and so did President Trump in the clip that you played just a minute ago. And so, this could backfire in many ways, but maybe it's the ultimate double cross that the Democrats and the media actually want Trump to win the nomination. I mean, that was clear in the Alvin Bragg indictment, which clearly, didn't have much support, even on the left from legal experts. So, this thing, it could be another one of these politically motivated, weaponizations of the justice system, and voters will get frustrated. The fact that, that they think there is that possible outcome, that voters will think that they're being denied, their right to vote for the candidate they want to vote for. And so, but in many ways, I do think that the Democrats really do want Trump to be the nominee. So this might be very well executed.
This is the interesting thing. I mean, certainly back in 2016, the Republican sort of leadership did not want Donald Trump. He just steamrolled through. He's kept control of the party ever since. We see he's got his incredibly strong base, 23% or so voters. Like, that's it. That's his base. He's got them. And no matter what he does, they know what he is. They know who he is. They don't care. They're going to vote for him no matter what. But it is that, as you say, it's that bizarre situation where many of the Republican leadership and senators, they don't want him as the next candidate. They think he will lose. They think he's a bit of an embarrassment. But the Democrats will be delighted and thrilled because they're going to run Biden again, foolishly, with Kamala Harris at his side. I think it's a major bad decision by them, but both counts, actually. But they think, well, it's just going to be a rerun of 2020, but with far more sort of, black points against Donald Trump now, and that Biden their man is going to win if it's against Donald Trump. Is that as sure a thing as the Democrats seem to think it is?
I don't think so, Julia, but also it might be their only hope. You have an incumbent president polling in the 30s. You've got an incumbent president who polls in the low 30s on the economy, which is typically the most important thing to American voters. So, yeah, I think that they're actually playing with fire here. In my opinion, they'd be much better off nominating a younger and coherent or even
go crazy
nomination.
Someone who knows where he is. That would be a good start, wouldn't it? But that's the thing. This is so laughable.
About cognitive issues.
Yeah, but this is so laughable. And again, quite apart from he appears to be just, cognitive issues are notwithstanding, there are so many question marks about his probity with financial dealings, so many question marks about his son, millions of dollars just sloshing around since when he was vice president, not being properly investigated. People hold me to the fire on this one. Again, look, I'm not in a position to do this. I'm not a political editor of an American newspaper. But it is extraordinary the free pass that he gets, and it said, well, he's not Trump, so everything is fine. And that really shouldn't be the bar for being the leader of the free world and the most powerful person in the world. And especially when you're as old as he is, and your idiot vice president, and she really is properly incompetent, that she will be taking over as vice president to president if anything happens to him. I mean, if I were a Republican, whatever candidate I run, I'd simply run vote Biden, get Kamala.
And just run a couple of the clips of her word salads.
Oh,
and
God.
I think, it would be easy, and I think that's why I think it's still way too early to make too many predictions about this election. At this time in prior elections, Rudy Giuliani was leading the pack in 2008.
Very good point.
Even McCain, was leading in 2000 at one point. I mean, these things always change. 2016, at this point, it was Scott Walker or Jeb Bush.
Yeah.
It's still way too early. The only thing that's consistent, or the only thing I could suggest, it might be more exciting to look at the Democratic primary because you have, an incumbent president, yet two fringe candidates are polling at a combined 30. This time in 2011, Obama was polling, 30 points ahead of Mitt Romney in April of 2011. So, it's way too early. I think a lot will change in both. I don't think President Trump is a shoo-in. You still have Ron DeSantis polling. Granted, he's not polling as well as Trump, but Trump was almost an incumbent, and he's polling below 50 in many polls. So that's not a great sign for him. I think people are confused that, just because he's leading DeSantis, a lot of that was the Alvin Bragg bump. He was only up by 10 points over DeSantis, and then he got the 20-point bump from the sham indictment. That's going to fade. Some of it's faded already.
But this is the thing. Whenever he's in the news, I mean, it's like everything in the UK. You live here. Liberal Democrats get boosted in election campaigns because there's a legal requirement for broadcasters to include them in the debate and then when they get their voices heard, they get their votes boosted. Donald Trump gets his vote boosted and his support boosted whatever he's in the news for. I mean, and he used to, remember, he joked in 2016, I could murder someone on Fifth Avenue and it still wouldn't affect me. And I think he's probably right. But this is the thing, even when the allegations are about things like, and people might say, I don't know whether this sexual assault happened or that sexual assault and the motivations. But, 16 women came forward in 2016. I mean, he's admitted himself on tape that he has sexually assaulted women. Because, sorry, a man came up to me, no matter how rich or famous, and grabbed me between the legs. That's sexual assault. And by the way, he ain't getting out of there alive. I can tell you that for sure. I don't know how it amazes me that he's...
I don't doubt that, Julia.
It amazes me how men like that survive as long as they do. But we saw that Access Hollywood tape. There are numerous other instances. It doesn't matter what these Republican Trumpist base hear about this man. They say it's fine. But what I don't get is so much of that base are so-called Christian evangelist right-wingers. Now, I know they got their deal. They got their 3 conservative Supreme Court judges. They've got their rulings on, on abortion, their gun control and all of that. That's, that they're safe from that as a result of the Supreme Court nominations. But is that all they want from him? Do they just not care about his character at all? Because character used to be a really key factor in elections in America.
Yeah, it used to be. And I think, especially on the conservative side, and I think that's something that very well might come back. I hope it does come back. But again, in 2016 and to a certain degree in 2020 and now, people just don't care. But they're frustrated. They're disappointed in their politicians, many of whom have character but failed. And I think Republicans and conservatives were tired of winning the philosophical argument, but then losing the fight in Congress or losing elections, but especially losing the fight in Congress where, they send these people to Washington and they just get more spending and more reckless behavior. This all started with the Tea Party in 2009, where they just said no to the reckless spending and the redistribution. They know it doesn't work. So they're trying to look for any answer that will be somewhat rebellious. But I should point out, Julia, the difference between 2016 and now is 6 years ago, he was running against the establishment who had greatly disappointed the electorate. Now he's running against other rebels, other Tea Party candidates, starting with DeSantis, but even Nikki Haley was a Tea Party winner, and kind of emerged in that post-Obama 2010 election, which, the Republicans overwhelmingly rejected Obama and Obamacare. And so, this goes back 10, 12 years now. I think you'll see more of that rejection of establishment Republicans. I don't think they're coming back. It will be DeSantis or Pence or Glenn Youngkin or President Trump if the Democrats and the media succeed in this little scam of elevating him before the primaries and helping him win the nomination. I hope it doesn't work that way, but it might.
It's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. I think the main thing we need to take from this is that we cannot predict anything, I think, frankly, even a month ahead, let alone a year or more ahead. Greg Swenson, Chair of Republicans Overseas UK, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much.